Well, tensions also high in Portland as nightly protests outside of an ICE facility there swell going into this weekend. 3 people were arrested during last night's protest after police say fights broke out in the crowd of demonstrators. Federal officers were also seen using chemical agents on those protesters. So now let's get out to NewsNation's Nancy Liu. She is live with the very latest, Nancy, on the protests happening in Portland.
And Nichole, military boots have yet to hit the ground in Portland, and a court hearing today could impact the deployment. And wheels, though, they are in motion yet again. Things got contentious last night outside the facility in South Portland with a small crowd of anti-ICE protesters facing off with counter-protesters, and it was fighting within the crowd that led to at least 3 arrests, including a prominent conservative influencer. It's alleged violence against federal officers that has led to nearly 150 arrests since June at the Portland ICE facility, where there's been practically non-stop protesting. The action is limited to a few blocks in South Portland, and the bulk of protesting has been peaceful. However, things have often turned quite violent, prompting the impending crackdown on what President Trump has called a war zone and hellhole. 200 Oregon National Guard members are now under federal control and undergoing several days of specialized training at a camp along the Oregon coast. It's not clear yet whether troops will be armed, but President Trump has authorized the use of full force. A veteran and former Guard member who lives near the base questions the federalization and mission.
I personally wouldn't agree with being deployed in such a scenario, right? And I also don't, from just a perspective of somebody who lives in the Pacific Northwest and spends time in Portland on occasion, I don't understand what's going on.
And in about an hour, an Oregon judge is set to hear the state's argument for a temporary restraining order, which could delay National Guard troops from deploying to Portland. Now, in opposition to the state's court challenge, the Trump administration says the deployment is, quote, tailored to the threat at the ICE building, where, quote, cruel activists have used vicious tactics. Nichole?
All right, so Nancy, pretty interesting development. Apple just removed an app from their store that tracked the movements of ICE officers. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, development in the past 24 hours. Apple removed that crowdsourcing app called ICE Block from their app store. That allowed users across the country to report sightings of ICE officers. The app's removal was initiated through a request by the Department of Justice. A spokesperson for DHS, the agency ICE falls under, said that the apps put law enforcement in danger. And Apple says they decided to remove ICE Block and similar apps due to the safety risks.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.